Hello, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. It is a sunny September day. I'm going to just run through the garden this afternoon and pick some things for dinner and show you around a little bit in the annual veggie garden, what I'm harvesting every day, what that typically looks like as the garden is starting to wind down, and some of my thoughts about this transitional period of the year. Now, you may be in a climate where your season is going to go much longer, but for us in the Pacific Northwest, by the time September starts waning, we are done with things like peppers and eggplants and tomatoes, and temperatures are getting far too cold at night and even during the day, and the rains begin to return and everything shuts down. So here early in September, it's that last push, that last rush to get all of those tomatoes in and to pick all of the berries before the rain comes back and they get moldy. It's that last flush of summer growth, that last heat wave that we're gonna have, and the last chance to really enjoy the summer garden. For me, I can get really anxious for autumn, but I need to take time in the garden every day to enjoy the season, to pace myself and say, you know what, I'm not gonna have summer again for a long time, and I need to cement in my memory how wonderful these last warm sunny days are, what those dinners with fresh tomatoes and fresh cucumbers are like, and just to appreciate and honor this time of year. So let me show you what I'm picking for dinner tonight, as well as a few other things that need to get picked and come into the house so that they're safe from rodents and birds, etc. Oh, and squirrels and any of my poultry that get loose. And then also just like a little look around, just this small area of my garden that I'm focusing on this afternoon. I thought I'd just walk you around this afternoon and show you what I am picking for dinner out of the garden. So keep in mind I have stopped watering. Actually was down here cutting out my pumpkin vine for my pepita pumpkin because it had died. It's at the end of its life. And I thought I would just show you some of the things that I am harvesting. Just a slight problem here as I am harvesting the pepita pumpkins. Gonna have to come back with a knife and cut this out. Kind of got away from me a little bit this year. Good thing I'm just harvesting it for the seeds so I can come in and slice it into chunks and remove it. I'm really careful for spiders. This time of year, there's lots of spiders hiding in here. So let me put my basket down here in the path. I'll show you some of the things I'm picking for dinner. Obviously, there's some tomatoes. Again, things are looking dry, and that is on purpose. I have stopped watering in order to induce ripening in my tomatoes. Uh-oh, lost one on the ground there. I have to go in there and get it. Now, in order to get ahead of rodents or birds in the garden, once they start to turn color, I go ahead and pick them and let them ripen on the counter. I had talked about this previously, but as our squash start to get tired and at the end of their lives, they start to naturally lose leaves and they let down their defenses. So they tend to get powdery mildew because the plants are tired, exhausted. They're starting to die back. That is normal, especially when temperatures dip into the 50s at night. However, they're still producing great. So here's one that I let get away from me. Let me get in here with my pruners. I always try and cut my squash because I feel like I'm less likely to damage the rest of the plant or to break my squash off in a way that damages the end of the squash. That way it can handle sitting on the counter for a few days if I don't get around to shredding it right away or cooking with it. This puppy in here, probably should have picked it a couple of days ago. Let me set my camera down there. Well, this one got away from me a little bit. It doesn't matter. I can still cut the seeds out, feed them to the poultry, and shred this. It's still perfectly good for shredding. Or I could stuff it with sausage and breadcrumbs and onions and roast it in the oven. So just because it's really big doesn't mean it's no good. More squash. I'm gonna let this one in here get a little bit bigger. Tomorrow, I won't let it get away from me. I won't forget it. This is what happens when a turkey gets loose in your garden, by the way. More tomatoes. More tomatoes. Grateful for the warm days. I'm looking forward to autumn, but grateful for warm enough weather for these tomatoes to go ahead and ripen up for me. Same for these Physalis peruviana that I mentioned. Once the outside of the husk starts to turn papery, you can go ahead and pick them and put them on the counter and they will continue to ripen up. Once those berries are starting to mature, it's best to bring them inside where they are protected from rodents and other critters in the garden. There's another one in here. Definitely, if they've become papery and fallen off, you want to pick them up off the ground. Get some cherry tomatoes while I'm at it. Now you can see here, if we're talking about polyculture, I let a lot of things volunteer underneath. So this is my tomato. This is a dumpster rescue tomato. And then underneath is some Swiss chard. Again, a little bit dry because I've stopped watering, and some nasturtium, which is a great ground cover. So all of these things can coexist in a very small space with these plants benefiting each other. So the tomato has reduced water loss because it has all of these plants growing around the base of it. I can harvest the nasturtium. It also brings in the pollinators. Also, the tomato itself shades the Swiss chard and reduces the risk of it bolting. So I pack all of this stuff in here, and for me, it works really well. So in here, we have the indigo rose tomato. You want to wait. These tomatoes, folks ask when they're ripe. They look dark purple on the bottom. They need to be orange before they're ripe. So if they're dark purple on top and still green on the bottom, not ripe yet. A little bit thicker skin, bigger than a cherry, smaller than a slicer. Good flavor tomato. So I feel like every year about this time, I start to get really fed up with the garden. I start to get really frustrated and ready for fall. I was telling my friend Sarah from Green Lady Permaculture just the other day that I'm really ready to have it be cold and rainy and sit by the wood stove and spin yarn. I love the garden season. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the cycles of the year, and that when a certain season is coming to its conclusion, I don't get anxious for the next season because I absolutely do. So as I'm going through and I am topping any of the tomatoes that will not have time to let their blossoms mature before cold weather comes, it's a nice reminder for me. It's a nice exercise that, yes, we are reaching the conclusion of this time of year. Enjoy these sunny, warm days while you've got them, but know that you're preparing for the cold, rainy season ahead. So for me, this process of coming out every day and topping my tomatoes, removing those blossoms, removing any immature tomatoes that won't be ripe in less than 30 days, so that I can push the tomatoes that are set to actually ripen. That's a really enjoyable process. It feels like a transition process for me, something that helps me find a little bit more patience with this time of year and not be too eager to get to the next season, just to help me enjoy where I'm at and know those transitional periods, those edge periods, those margins between the seasons are really important. I find in general, fall pruning is like that. Once I start hacking back things, it feels really nice. It feels like a really enjoyable task that is taking me from one point in the year into the next. I don't know. It's a little droopy this afternoon because the cucurbits naturally wilt in hot, sunny weather, but this is one cucumber plant and it has gone insane. It was a dumpster rescue, and let me just show you one of them. I've already picked 5 or 6 today. Whatever this variety is, no names, again, a rescue from the dumpster. These are the crunchiest, most lovely cucumbers. I'm really, really enjoying them. It's such a prolific producer. We are eating cucumber salad basically every day, either with, sesame oil and rice vinegar and soy sauce and some sesame seeds, or we're making tzatziki. So many cucumber dishes this year. This one dumpster plant, you can see here's the babies on it. This one dumpster plant has been extremely prolific. I've never had such a good cucumber year off of something someone was throwing in the garbage. So I hope that you are enjoying these last days in your garden, the end of summer here. I hope that you're able to anticipate and look forward to the next season of the year in the garden and in our homes and in our lives, but also take those moments to be present in the season that we're in right now. Enjoying those things that are ephemeral, those things that we are about to lose until they come back again next year. For me, that's a huge part of having longevity as a gardener, a huge part of being able to do permaculture year after year after year after decade is being able not only to enjoy that anticipatory look into the next season, but also to be able to take a moment and center myself and be present in the season that I'm in right now. Being able to have one foot in the next season and another foot grounded in this season and enjoy both of those aspects, honor and appreciate, look forward to what is coming, but honor what I have right now, even if I'm starting to get a little bit tired of it, even if I am starting to feel like, okay, it's been summer forever. I want the rain. I want wool socks. I want cozy afternoons by the fire. No, man, enjoy the sunshine, because come February, I will be missing it. So taking that time is really important for me, and I hope that you get a chance to do it too. I hope you get a chance to enjoy these last few days of summer and look forward to fall as well. I will be back really soon for my permaculture garden. Thanks.